Good morning, Mr. Jack from Chartered Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 15th of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Now, in a post a couple of days ago, I was talking about the fact that I thought that the trade negotiations with China would go well, because actually China was holding most of the cards, and I was sure that the American side would realize that, because the fact is there are things that the Americans absolutely have to have that the Chinese provide, and there's really nothing equivalent that the Chinese need to have from the Americans. Also, the fact is, if they're suffering from effectively a trade embargo, how much do they care about the voters in China? They don't care at all. They don't have meaningful elections. So it's a dictatorship. So they've got a big advantage there, whereas actually much of American manufacturing, when the extended embargo, could just have to shut down due to the lack of rare earths. This one issue is a huge, huge advantage for the Chinese. Now, it does seem, nonetheless, that there might actually be a real trade war battle here. Now, that needs to be borne in mind here. I'm leaning towards seeing retests of the high. Encouraging yesterday, although not definitive as yet. But I'm leaning towards seeing those high retests. If we start seeing a full-scale trade war start in a week or two where, embargo-type tariffs come up, and China cuts off all the rare earths, then actually that could cause a lot of market disruption, and we need to bear that in mind. All right, looking at the Fs. Nice move up overnight. Yesterday, well, I'll talk more about this on the daily chart. We didn't have any real breaks up yesterday, apart from the one on IWM RTY. But, and we actually closed slightly below the daily middle bands on all of SPX and the Qs and Dyer. But nonetheless, we've seen some encouraging moves to the upside, and I'm still quite liking the retest of the high. All of those topping patterns that I posted yesterday, though, are still in place apart from the IWM one. NQ hasn't made actually a high over this one yet, and I don't think YM had either. No, it's just about, it's okay. It's considerably over this and over this too, so it's encouraging. RTY went off and took off on its own. Sometimes it does that. No current negative divergence, and at the moment that is pressing higher as well. DAX kind of looks like bottoming action here, but on the bigger picture, we've hit the daily middle band, and that's a very good area for finding support. And ESTX, this is a double bottom that's actually broken up with the target at a retest of the October high. So I think we're probably going to see that soon as well. So overall, I'm still leaning towards the upside. I'm still liking retests of the highs pretty much across the board, but I am flagging that we've got a potential concern with a Chinese trade war, which could take the market down considerably while that happens. I can only imagine, though, that a war would be short. I think it would mainly be the Chinese pointing out that actually the Americans can't afford to have a trade war with them, and I think they would be right on that. Actually, it's funny how I was watching this, China getting this commanding position in rare earth minerals as they were putting this together strategically, over a period of about 5 or 10 years, and no one really took any action, which I thought was surprising at the time. But they've got it now. They've got a lock really on the world supply. It is vital for all high-tech manufacturing. I don't really see anyone's got a choice to get it from anywhere other than China. So we shall see. We should be recycling more. So it's a bit of a concern that the Trump administration has been shutting down the agencies concerned with recycling of rare earths, which I think is a stupid move, but we'll see. All right, great. Looking at the bigger picture, SPX had a very nice test from below the daily middle band and held it yesterday. I'm more optimistic that's going to break today, and I think at the moment we're likely to open above it. We're up 51. So we closed about 25 below it yesterday. So we are going to open well above it today, and I would like to see that push through into a retest of the high. That could well, as I said, be the second high of a double top as and when we get there. In terms of how's the possible head and shoulders here looking? Pretty good. And this double bottom, which has now broken up with a target at a retest of the all-time high, and I'm leaning towards that and making that target. This is the one I was looking at in the post yesterday. Looking at the Qs, we closed again below the daily middle band. No, actually, I think the day before we'd actually closed above the daily middle band, so we came back below the daily middle band yesterday, and that was a rejection. Normally you'd see a retest of the low, and we almost did see that retest of the low. We don't have a decent looking double bottom here, but I'm still optimistic about this going higher, but I was just a bit surprised to see that close back below the daily middle band yesterday. Looking at the 15-minute chart, is this a double bottom? Not really. It could be a bear flag or a triangle forming, but as soon as we close higher than 602, we've eliminated the triangle option. If we can get significantly above it and close above the daily middle band again, then we've got another potential break towards a retest of the all-time high. Okay, looking at Dire. Dire, we saw a test of the daily middle band yesterday, fairly aggressive one, got over it, and then closed on it at the end of the day. That's not a break back above yet, but I'm optimistic about that happening today. We shall see. And we do have, of course, a bullish leading day historically tomorrow. In terms of the pattern setup here, this is a nice looking double bottom. It has already broken up. For some reason, I didn't actually mark in the targets here, but we're pretty close to those targets. But I've got those up in about the 468 area. But really, by the time we go up there, I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest of the high. Is the head and shoulders still here? Here still looking okay? Yes. But I'm leaning towards the high retest. When I was saying that it was just a storm in a teacup, it may turn out to not be a storm in a teacup, because I'm just assuming that everyone's going to act logically here, and that's not necessarily always going to be the case, of course. Looking at the daily charts on IWM, we went up, retested the high. We've got another potential larger double top here, but at the moment it's powering higher, and if we do see high retests across the board on the others, then we're going to go probably significantly higher. So we wouldn't at that stage have a double top. We could have a possible head and shoulders forming. We would have to see. Looking at the 15-minute chart, we obviously made the 15-minute RSI 14 bicycle target pretty hard, but we've already made this all-time high. But at the moment, that's powering higher overnight, and I'm thinking that may well continue to be the case. Sometimes IWM just starts doing its own thing, and that's what it was doing yesterday. All right, looking at DAX. DAX, we've come back and we've had a very nice test of the daily middle band, and that's a very good area to find support. And at the moment, I'm not seeing anything to suggest it isn't going to find support there. Nikkei did manage to see that decline that I was expecting in terms of political turmoil. In terms of this move up from 30.8k to 48.6k, this is a very, very small retracement, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a larger retracement coming soon. Okay, let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, this looks like a bull flag forming. I've got a corresponding setup on USD. I've got a very nice looking bull flag on USD/JPY. I'm leaning towards at least a retest of this high. And on the bigger picture, I'm leaning towards a move towards the double bottom resistance in the 100.28 area, I think. If we see a sustained breakup off that, then we'd have a target slightly over 104. And I'm pretty good about that. It's a very nice pattern setup for it. And we've supported by some nice buy signals as well. Looking at ZB. ZB's retested the high. I would note that we haven't retested the lows yet on TNX or TYX. I am thinking this might go a little higher, but I'm thinking it might come back for it. There's an interesting setup on ZN here where I did mark in a possible megaphone resistance trend line, and we came up and we hit it yesterday. And we're reversing there so far. I'm thinking we might see a pullback here, and then another move up within this megaphone, which would then take us to this double bottom target. So I'm thinking we might see a bit of a pullback first, and we do have a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing, although we don't have one of those on ZB. All right, looking at CL, I'm wondering about a rally here. We've got a very nice looking little double bottom setup here. We've got a pretty nice looking double bottom setup on HO as well. If we were to see this double bottom break up on CL, a sustained break up over about the 60.25 area, I think would take us to about 63 area. That wouldn't be a bad match with the a test of the monthly pivot at 63.28. Looking at RBOB, no obvious double bottom there because we haven't come back and retested this low yet. But I'm quite liking a rally here too. We'll see whether we get it. Bigger picture on CL, my targets on the downside are 56 and a possible retest of the trend line in the 53 area. But I'm watching this with interest. I'm really hoping and expecting to get a big post out on CL on the overall picture there today, and I'll be talking about the various things we might look for and the overall bullish outlook, which might not play out, but I've always got to lean towards the pattern bullish patterns delivering. And while you have to say the fundamentals noise is very bearish on oil at the moment, I would note that an awful lot of the production doesn't make money below $50, and some of it, below $60, and that production was likely to fall off fairly dramatically in the event that we go below 50. So there is a natural support there. And the other thing I would say is that I've noticed before that things always tend to look pretty bearish at lows, at big lows. And that's just the natural case of things. Equally, at big highs, everyone tends to be bullish. So it's not necessarily discouraging to find that all the sentiment is bearish when, of course, it's been going down for a long time and come down a very long way. Looking at NG, this is a potential large double top here. We failed, obviously, the double bottom. It broke up. It failed back into a retest of the low. We've got a potential double bottom, and I quite like this, mainly because we've got this bullish leaning period for the next couple of months. Might not deliver. We will see how that goes. But for now, this is quite a nice looking double bottom, and we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed here, which so far hasn't delivered anything. GC is powering up here. Now, I don't think it's been hit yet. It might have been hit overnight. I won't see it until well after the close today because it's an EOD chart. But I mean, I do have on the bigger picture a possible trend line, which we are coming up to. Which would be a very high quality trend line, but at the moment it's currently theoretical. We would need to stop there for it to become a real trend line. I'm watching that. We're coming up to that, and I've got that at about the 4250 area, and I'm watching that with great interest. Looking at SI, leaning towards seeing a retest of this high. Palladium retested the high and has continued higher. This does not look like a topping pattern. Platinum leaning towards seeing a retest of this high too. Could see another leg down before we saw that. HG, this looks like a triangle forming at the moment. If so, this is a bullish consolidation which should deliver a retest of this high, which is kind of what I was expecting anyway. That could well be the second high of a double top as and when we get that. KCE has managed to get over the monthly pivot and is heading towards a retest of this high. I was talking on the bigger picture about this going higher and retesting the high for the year in what could well be the second high of a big double top. That is what I'd like to see, so I'm quite pleased it's got over the monthly pivot. SB went down, retested the low, and went significantly lower. Now, I'm slightly concerned about the apocalypse pattern heading, that could take this back a long way down. But I'm not too concerned about that. I've got a nice support set up here. I'm still leaning towards this being an overall double bottom. We will see how that goes. CC, broke down through big support. I'm a bit dubious about this falling megaphone here. I'd be more encouraged if we actually went back and tested the megaphone resistance, which there's no sign of it doing at the moment. We could just be trickling down towards the longer term trading levels. CT, which are considerably down from here. I'm looking at those and basically like the 2,000 to 4,000 area. Looking at CT. Has been trickling lower, may go significantly lower. Again, I talked about that on the bigger picture. The lumber, this little double top has failed into a retest this high. This could be a larger double top forming. Overall, I've still got a pretty clear lean to the downside. Could be mistaken, but that's the obvious direction. On wheat, retested this low here. Still looks like bottoming action. I do think we might be starting significant bull runs on wheat and corn, so I'm watching these particularly closely. Neither of those has been particularly encouraging in the last few days, but nevertheless the overall setups are quite encouraging. Soy, bigger picture, I'm seeing this in a bear flag and leaning to the short side. We haven't quite made the very short-term double top target to the downside in about the 9988 area, and there's nothing really suggesting we won't make it. On ZL, looks like a bear flag forming. Live cattle, we came up to the high, and I was saying, could be the second high of a double top, could continue higher. At the moment, we're continuing higher, and we've got no negative divergence. Lean hogs, I'm wondering about a bull flag forming here. I do not have a decent support trend line so far. All right, let's have a look at questions. And hang on. Okay, no questions. In that case, that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning.